Buckle up.
Buckle up, kiddies. Mommy's been drinking.
What's happening?
Hey there, you found Cameras and Car Seats, the podcast for photographers who are tired of being told to hustle harder while trying to remember if you grabbed diapers at your last Target run. I'm Jamie, your destination adventure elopement photographer who somehow manages to adventure with couples while raising tiny humans.
And I'm Alex, holding down the Lincoln logs in the Midwest traditional wedding scene, proving you can crush those weekend weddings and still make it to family dinner. If you're editing in the pickup line, scheduling client calls during nap time, or just trying to figure out how to run a profitable photography business without sacrificing your family life, you're in the right place. We're dropping real, actionable advice that actually works for mom photographers.
No bro marketing, no toxic hustle culture, just two photographer moms keeping it real about making this whole business thing work while raising our families. So grab your watered down iced coffee.
Ignore that pile of laundry for another hour or day.
And let's dive into today's episode.
All right, welcome back. We are with Alora today. We are so excited to just dive right in. She's going to spill all the tea on charging what you're worth and running a business as a mom without all the drama. So, Alora, welcome to the show. Can you tell us about yourself?
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I am so excited to be here. I just feel like there's not a lot of opportunity for mom photographers and business owners to just talk about the way that they run their business. So super excited. Okay, so I was a wedding photographer for 12 years, turned business strategist, and I actually have been doing mentorships, like 30-minute FaceTime mentorships, since 2016. And I mean, my business actually took off when I had a baby, and that's not a typical story. So I went straight from like broke to burned out immediately with no warning. You know what I mean? So I felt like I was drowning, like it was crazy. I had no systems in place because my revenue originally was like 10K a year, if that. And then I went from like literally in 1 year, 10K to 100K, booking 17 weddings in 1 month. My daughter is 3 days old, and like the whole like nursing just was so hard. My husband immediately went back to work. I think he only had, actually, no, he went back to work the next day. So I was in postpartum like craziness. I was so like scared because I'm like, why did I leave a hospital? How am I going to raise this baby? And my phone is like off the hook. My emails are crazy. The inquiries are coming in. So anyway, I was able to finally, like, I tripled my prices, which is not typical. But I tripled them. I came up with this brand strategy to relaunch my business and my company in a very like strategic way where it was like I built my own unique photography style and I just went bananas. And so after that happened, when I had my son, I only booked 12 weddings a year versus booking 30. And it was so peaceful. He was my pandemic baby. I mean, the delivery wasn't peaceful because apparently January, everybody was delivering. So I had a new nurse every 20 minutes. They're like, I'm so sorry. There's so many babies being born right now. And I'm just like, it's fine. Like, just whenever you can, just get to me. And I'm like sending my husband to Shake Shack because I'm starving. I haven't eaten in 2 days. Best first meal ever.
Oh, yeah. That first meal after delivery,
yes.
I had Arby's.
It's different.
Oh.
I had Chick-fil-A, and I begged for that Chick-fil-A.
No, Arby's buffalo sauce slaps. I'm just saying. It was so good. Oh, I'm sitting there like, and that spicy Coke. I'm like, I don't care. Give me all the caffeine right now.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it was like starvation or because you're pushing a baby out, or you just delivered a baby that had made you starving for the past 9 months. I don't know. It was the best. I was like, give me the Shake Shack. I wanted the chicken something and then a cheese fries. Like, it was great. But so being able to scale my business after having him, which was about 3.5 years later, it was the best. I had a team. I booked 12 weddings. We brought in multiple six figures. And yeah, I just want people to know, especially mothers, that it's actually possible to build a business that you love and actually loves you back. Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit? Okay, because 17 weddings in a matter of days is
I know
wild. Like
no,
what?
Literally.
How did this happen?
How did this happen? In the early days of Instagram, when you posted 3 to 5 times a day and you got 500 likes per post, and it could be like my dog or taco night is yesterday. Like, I don't know. It's back in the early 2000s, the mid 2000s, I guess. And so I was doing that. I was doing the 3 to 5 times a day. I curated my feed. I did what all the gurus said. And then the Metro Times picked me up in Detroit as the the #1 Detroit wedding photographer to follow on Instagram. So after that happened, and they listed me as #1, like, I mean, I could have been #1, but I could have, but I don't think I was, and that's okay. I can be honest with myself. But they listed me as #1, so everything was already set up. My website was good, the vibes were here. I just wasn't marketing, but the viral SEO blog post or post that they had on the Metro Times. Yeah, that month I booked 17 weddings. I had brides constantly calling me and I was like, hey, I just had a baby, but I can not meet over coffee, but we can book on the phone. So I learned how to sell on the phone like very early on in my business. And they were just like, hey, we're so worried you're going to book up because you're the #1 photographer right now. And I was like, wow, really? Like me? Like,
Thank you.
Massively underpriced. Like, don't get me wrong. I wasn't charging $10K. I was at best $2,500 at best. So they were like, we got to snatch this girl up. And they did. At the cost of my mental health. So that's what that looked like. And I stayed busy for 3.5 years straight. And then my grandma passed away when my daughter was almost 2. And nobody prepares you for like having to step away from your business. Because I was in hustle mode all the time. It's like, yay, money, clients, weddings, it's working. And then my grandma passes away and I am just like paralyzed for 3 to 6 months. Like weeks I wouldn't get out of bed because it was a hospital accident. So she came in for a procedure. They just wanted to look at something. And his hand, I guess, like triggered something. And she immediately like brain dead. So
I'm
I
so
get off.
sorry.
I know, it's okay. I mean, you know, stuff like that happens. But I got off a plane because I was doing a wedding in Connecticut, and I got off a plane the next day. I had to bury my grandmother. Like, it was that fast. She wasn't even sick. And so after that happened, I had, I shot weddings every weekend, and my queue was like 3 to 6 months behind. And I'm just like, sorry, my grandma died. And while like that, it's like my clients and couples are so forgiving and like take all the time you need. Comes a point where you're just like, okay, this is great. Like they care about me. But at the end of the day, this is a business. Like I am a business owner. I shot their wedding. They need to get their wedding pictures back. Not in 12 weeks, you know, because a situation has happened. So that's when I was like, all right, Alora, it's finally time. You didn't want to do this. You need to learn how to outsource. So I interviewed about 5 different photo editors and I almost gave up, but I found one and we did a trial run. I sent them some samples. They mimicked my edits exactly and they delivered in 10 days. So I was like, well, I'm killing it right now. So let me just send you all these weddings, all this money, and everybody was good like before December, thank goodness. But that was a lesson learned for me of being like, I need to run my business like a business, and my business needs to be life-proof, grief-proof, child-proof, all the things. Yeah.
Yes. All of it. Like literally all of it. And I feel like sometimes you can't, it's hard to explain too if someone is not a mom yet, because they do have all the luxury to hustle. But like it's something changes in your brain, which obviously something changes. You birth a human, but like you realize I do need all of these systems. I need to separate church and state, for lack of better words. Like, okay, I need to make sure this can run. I need to make sure this can run. And it's all of it needs to just intermingle with each other though.
Yeah. Yes. I think that like having the separation, because as photographers, we're artists. So we're artists first, business owners second. And so I'm like, oh, I love taking pretty pictures. Like I started my business because I was taking pictures of trees and water droplets. And I'm like, I could sell this and be a millionaire. I am so creative with my Canon Rebel T2i. And then someone goes, will you shoot my wedding for $75? I'm like, sure, that's so much money. Didn't pay me, didn't sign the contract. But who delivered the wedding in 5 business days? So, you know, lessons learned.
You learn expensive lessons. You learn cheap lessons. Everything's a lesson if you think about it in a certain way. So even if you're like, something didn't work, okay, but you still learned.
Yeah.
So, okay, you used to charge, what, $25-ish, $100 for a wedding, and then you kind of hit that breaking point of this isn't working anymore. Can you kind of like walk us through the mindset shift and like what kind of happened and shifted in you and your business that you were like, okay, no, this is not working. I need to charge more?
Yeah, I don't even know. So what I would do, because we all listen to many people giving us lots of different advice. And like you said in my podcast, we kind of build our own cookie. It may not be pretty. It may not be like a line, but we think it's delicious, right?
That's all that matters.
That's all that matters. And so I took everybody's free advice back then. And they were like, oh, every couple weddings or at the end of the year, like raise your prices $250, $300, $500. So I ended 2019 at $3,500 for everything. 8 hours, second photographer. Nobody ever upgraded. Nobody ever, it was just the middle package or nothing. And I thought that was really good. I thought that was good money. And my mindset was no one's ever going to pay X amount of dollars. Even though my friends were, I had friends that were charging 10K, 7K, 5K. But for me, I was like, no, my work's not that good. Like you get so caught up in your head. And I think the number one fear that we have with pricing is if I raise my prices, I'm going to lose all of my clients. And that's actually true because you're going to enter a different market, a different pricing market and bracket that are going to appreciate those higher end prices. And so I'd like to say 2 to 3K is like the early, but also average. So people who don't, value wedding photography so much that they're willing to drop so much money on it, that's like the average price. They're like, okay, yeah, $3,500, no big deal. Like I did that for 2 years. I stayed with 30 weddings. I know that people will book that. But another thing too is when you get into the 5 to 7 mid luxury market and then 8 to 10K, it's different, but you have to realize that you don't need 100 wedding inquiries to be booked, especially if you have an understanding of sales. If you're booking 70 to 80% of your wedding couples now, let's just do the math. You know what I mean? If you need less than 50 inquiries to stay booked and you raise your prices a little bit here and there, that's okay. You have to be okay with saying no and people saying, oh, you're out of my budget. That's a good thing. Okay. And you have to be okay with people. And maybe it's a rejection thing and we're artists and, it's all intertwined. Oh, my stuff isn't good or, oh, my prices are low. That means I'm bad. It's not. It means you're entering a different market and you're getting ready to scale your business in the best way. You're going to get your weekends back and you're going to be able to build this life first business.
Yes.
I think also too operating from a place of fear. I went through this last summer where I had 2 weddings booked for this year and I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm panicking because I am the only income for our family. And so it hit a point where I was like, I ended up lowering prices because I was like, I don't know what else to do. I'm not booking. And so I started booking and then incrementally raising and I booked 20 weddings in just a couple months. And it is crazy the amount of how your priorities change and the clients change and everything because I am in a whole new bracket now. And it's okay, I don't feel like I'm having that mental struggle as much anymore because I don't have as many clients for the next year that I have to worry about. I can focus way more on their experience than stretching myself way too thin.
Well, and also being a mom and a business owner, you're thinking about the health of your family, the bills of your family. My family needs me. It needs this job. So then if you're operating from a mindset of fear, of scared, of I have to book this or it's not going to work. But then when that job comes along, you're like, I should have never booked that. And it's you can see it in hindsight on the other side when you're like, oh, I should have just trusted the process, trusted myself. And then it's I feel every year, occasionally we all still kind of go through they weren't a good fit, but I did it anyway.
Yeah.
But it's
and
hard.
sometimes we just need that one, once we raise prices and because that one person justifies that not that you need justification, but it helps solidify in your brain. Okay, somebody paid that. So now I'm worth it.
It's a confidence boost.
Exactly. So now booking weddings, this last week at double what I was booking them a few months ago is okay, so that's our new standard now.
I love that for you.
No, that was so exciting. I loved watching you do all of that last year. I just remember like trying to book something and feeling that mindset. Like it's something else when you're not just like a 22-year-old where I'm like, oh, I'll just go get another job. But like when you're literally supporting your family, it's just different. And you gotta be ballsy. You gotta just go for it. You got to know your numbers. You got to know your business. You have to know all the little business things, but you also have to know your family, and you just have to trust yourself because you're probably pretty badass.
What do you think are some of the biggest mistakes that moms make or photographers make when they're adjusting their pricing or wanting to raise their pricing? Like, what are some of the things that you think are mistakes that they make?
So in the process of them like making the move, like, okay, I want to charge $5,000 by the end of this year, or them just staying in the same cycle?
Maybe both. What's your take on both of those?
Yeah. So essentially when people come to me, they come to me being like, I know that my, experience is worth X, but I'm so scared. And so we kind of walk through all of the mindset stuff. And usually it always stems from a money story, which is really interesting. The way people think that they can have money. Do they deserve money? Are they worth making money? Is their art even good? And then it always comes back to comparison. Well, this person's charging that, but my work is way better, or my work's not even close. And so like once they're able to realize, oh, like I'm the problem, that it's me.
Taylor, I love you. Can I photograph your wedding?
Jamie was so ready. She's like, it's me. But
I'm such a Swiftie.
And I feel like, we dramatize things. And I think the money drama for me just goes into like psychology, or understanding how people buy, or understanding how to position your pricing in a way that appeals to people. Like I can give you an example. I was doing pricing audits all last week and this week. That's probably why I lost my voice. But a lot of people were really stuffing their lowest package. And it was like $2,000 or maybe less. And then it's like, 8 hours, second shooter, this, that, and the other. And I was like, and they're like, my most popular package is my lowest package. I'm like, yeah, because it's a steal. I was like, are you even making money on this? And so we did the math. One of my students was charging, this was years ago, and she's like in the $5,000 range now, thank God. But she was charging $1,500 for her largest package, 12 hours, 2 photographers, and an album, and engagement session. We did the math, and I was like, you're negative 700 X amount of dollars.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's no way.
There's no way.
Losing money.
Like I was like, you can't even afford to be in business.
Hang on. Pick my jaw back up. I'm like, I'm sorry, what?
What? Like you should freeze your guys' face for that moment of and I said, that's why you joined this program, because we can't keep going at this rate. Mm-mm. So we repositioned it, and we made that, first of all, we raised the prices at least $2,000 on that one. And, like less to the second package, less to absolutely nothing hardly to the lower package. And then she was able to book that time and time again. But just knowing that, because of the mindset stuff, she's like, I could never charge $2,000. Like $2,000 was crazy to her. But when you look at the hard data, which is like a pricing calculator, for example, then you're like, oh, well, I actually have to charge at least this much, or I can't pay my bills, save anything, pay my subscriptions. Pay the second photographer, and maybe people want to dabble in film. Film is not cheap. It is expensive to purchase, and it is expensive to develop, and it's expensive to come up with the preset. Like it's an expense. So making sure that you budget everything and just have that low minimum, like I actually have to charge this much, or I can't shoot your wedding. And then being like, that's my get out of bed rate. I'm not getting out of bed for less than X amount.
Oh, as someone who's obsessed with spreadsheets, to the point where people like, they joke with us now, like, is there a spreadsheet for this? But I'm just like, I feel this sort of calmness when you can see the numbers, black and white, row A, like column everything. Like you're like, oh, I really do need, for lack of better words, I need $4,000 a month just to live. Like, these are my bills. This is my daycare cost. This is how much it costs me to go to a job because I need daycare for that job. And it's those numbers, like, you get those numbers, but then it's like, once you know them, oh, okay, yeah, no, I'm sorry, I can't do that. It's going to cost me money. But then, like, once you reach your goals, you can start to give back because you've already met your number goals. So, like, if there's a project where they is a nonprofit project or something, but you could say yes to it because you've already made your profit on your other goals. So it's like, it makes me happy. Spreadsheets, numbers, black and white.
Well, and I think one mistake that a lot of photographers make is not itemizing everything in their package and putting money behind it. Because regardless of whether you're actually spending money, like on film or equipment, your time is money. So if you're making a timeline, how much an hour is that? $100 an hour? And then you're like having consults with them. You're sending out questionnaires. You're sending out planning guides. All of those took time, resources, anything, and those have a price behind them. So adding up those things, I think for us, it's just like, oh, well, that's just part of the job. Like, it's easy to not put a price behind those because you're like, oh, well, it's just what I do.
Oh, okay. So I'm curious. You get these people, you get them their numbers, and you tell these photographers, this is what you need to be doing. And then do you have to do like a whole like marketing mind shift too? Because they're now marketing to a different type of client. Like, a client that's going to pay $1,500 for a wedding usually is not a client that pays $10K for a wedding.
Yes, this is such a good question. So I think a lot of times when we all start a business, and like, just let's go back to the beginning of time when you decided to get that little camera that you found in your grandpa's basement, right? Or in the closet, or born with a camera in hand.
Let's not do the closet jokes right now, guys.
while you're in your high school closet. But, when you first get started, you kind of just like do it. You're shooting weddings. You don't have like a purpose. It could be a passion, maybe because it feels like this. It's like you're getting paid to create. That is a high that you can ride, but only for so long. And so that's why I take people back a little bit. I was like, okay, this is how much you need to charge. But before we launch all of this, because everyone's going to be like, I can't do that. Oh, the drama. Oh my goodness, not where my business is at. My website's a mess. And so that's why we go backwards and we look at the brand strategy. And so the brand strategy part is understanding why you got into this, how you got into this, your unique style, and really actually truthfully talking about weddings in your own way without looking on Instagram, without looking at what your friends are doing and charging. And when you finally come to like your own source of truth, then you're going to be able to make sure that your website, your visuals, your Instagram, your blogs all match whatever that strategy is. And so with that strategy, you plug that into your marketing, and you're going to be so unabashed being like, yeah, no, 5K minimum, because like I'm bringing a style that is unique to me. You're not going to get anywhere else. Because the biggest thing when couples are shopping, or even when we're buying, this is a buyer behavior thing. If everybody looks the same, the only differentiation is price. But, in the words of Seth Godin, a purple cow is very, very, very unique and different. And that's when we all turn our heads and go, what's going on with this? But if there's only one purple cow, and that purple cow is like this limited edition $10,000 thing, and all of the rich people are buying the purple cow, like the positioning is so much different than just being a photographer who charges $1,500 for a wedding day to capture moments that last a lifetime. So, yeah, unique, exclusivity, all of those things definitely play into it for sure.
I was just talking to one of our mastermind students because she was going through some of this, and I was reading over her website, and I started reading her about page, and I'm like, this is so powerful. Like, this story, I want to know more about this. Like, I want you to put your about page and put it more into your brand, because this is why you do what you do. And like, this is so interesting. This makes me want to talk to you more. This makes me want to hire you. So she's like, oh, I didn't even think of it like that. And I'm excited to dive into those sort of things, because it's true. It's why people hire someone else, because they are offering something different. They're offering the purple cow.
Yes.
Okay, so I have a question of something that I've been hearing for years, and I don't know if like you've heard of it or have a hot take on it, but I've had pricing dead zones.
Yes.
I have heard of all of these like dead zones.
Yeah.
And every time I'm like, oh, I'm struggling to book, everyone's like, well, you're in a dead zone. I'm like, what is going on? What is this?
Yes. Oh, I love talking about this. I think I need to do a training on this in my podcast, so I'll just like remind me. But yeah, so it's where you are in between like dream couples or dream clients or what have you. So you're at the lower end of what a certain group won't buy, but you're at the max where a different group can't afford to buy. And so it's like this really weird in between. So like, for example, 1K to 3K is kind of like that own separate kind of bracket. And then there is like the 3.5 to 5K. That's kind of a little bit of a different bracket. Like you can convince somebody who's like, if you're starting at 3,500 to eventually get to a 5K package if you make it appealing. But then there's this really weird zone. It's like the 5 to 7.5K where it's like, I call it the mid-luxury market because it's not quite the 10K, but it's very close. They value photography, but maybe you're their like most expensive investment, or maybe you're at the max of like what the 5K can afford. 5K is like, ooh, 8K is steep. Like that's really a tough zone. Or people can be like they want to charge 3K, but they want to go to 7K. Like that's two different markets at the same time. So essentially, the pricing dead zone is like you're in the in-between, you're at the max for somebody, and then the too low for the somebody else. Basically.
Do you have any tips or like mindset shifts for people who are kind of in a dead zone that want to be in the zone that's right above that?
Yeah, I mean, I think what you did, honestly, was just like raise it a little bit. You can do that. Or you can reposition your packages in a way that is driving them to the highest package versus driving them to the middle lower. And I think a lot of people are always like, I'm always booking my lowest. Nobody will even get to the middle, or they can't even touch the highest, but they might add something on to the middle package. So I do think like the way you present your packages, the way that you talk to them on a sales call, the way that you kind of answered their objections and make it sound like you're the best fit for them, or maybe you're not. But either way, all of those things play into pricing. There's value-based pricing, like we mentioned before. There's like the profit pricing, which is the bare minimum. But you need to like, if you want to charge value-based pricing and you want to get like from 5 to 10K somehow, you have to really embody that with your experience, which we talked about automations on my podcast. You have to embody that with the visuals, with the high touch experience. So many things, like when they get to a certain point, they're going to expect you to be charging a certain amount with the way that you've already positioned your business. But what you can do is if you're really having drama, because I know a lot of people are like, well, I just need to book a wedding yesterday. Like I'm broke. Okay. It's hard in the club. I'd love to be like 7K right now, but it's just not in the cards. Like find out a way to either play with your prices or make your highest package like a stupid, ridiculous high price and overstuff it. Make sure it's profitable, of course, but overstuff it. And even when you get on the call, just being like, but this package, like we'll take care of you. This is all day coverage. I have people now when they're doing destination weddings, they have this thing they call the wedding weekend where it's like for a flat rate price destination.
I do that.
You do it? Oh, yes. I love that. You're like, yes, you're telling me about me.
Go for it.
So kind of like the 3-day coverage, everything that's included. And some people also don't like packages and they like a flat rate. But however you position it, your energy behind it, you have to get behind it. Because humans can feel humans. Like we know if you just raise your prices yesterday and you're like sweating on the call and you're like following up like, hey, did you get my invoice? Oh, hey, did you, did you take a look at it? Like, can you book? Did you sign the contract? I know we just talked like yesterday or 5 minutes ago, but that needy energy, I call it the pick me energy, but somebody was like, that's offensive. Sorry.
We can quote Grey's Anatomy. Choose me. Love me.
Yes. Love me. I think that was also in, oh my gosh, my best friend's wedding. Because I did a class on that. And she was like, can I ask you something? Pick me. Choose me. And I was like, don't be
Love
this girl.
me.
Do not be this girl. Okay? Do not.
Show up with confidence, know your prices, believe in your product, believe in yourself, believe in your client's vision, and be excited.
It is wild how when I first started booking weddings again after kind of having a little lull, I was booking like my middle package consistently. And then after I hit a point where I was raising my prices and now I'm at my raised prices, more than 50% of people are booking my highest package. And it's just been so weird to kind of be in that zone.
I'm like over here in all caps, like, yes.
I messaged Jamie last night and I was like, I'm going to Michigan.
I'm going with you.
Yeah.
Wait, when are you guys coming? I'm in Detroit.
Okay, wait, for real?
Yeah.
Well, really?
Yeah, somebody is booking me for their wedding in September.
So we have to get up, meet in real life.
That would be so fun.
Oh my God.
Yes.
So fun. Let's do it.
It's a small world after all.
I was like, Michigan. Wait, where in Michigan?
No, but talking about the full wedding weekend. So like my business is a very destination based, and I thrive on being there for every single moment. And like when I get on the call with clients, I'm like, I want to be there at your welcome dinner. I want to meet your friends. I want to meet them in the casual setting. I want to put names to faces. And I just had a wedding last weekend in North Carolina, and like she didn't pay for the whole weekend. I still went. And like I show up at the welcome dinner and she's like, "Oh my gosh, you're here." And like she's so excited. She's introducing me to people and I'm talking to their people and they're like, "Oh, are you the photographer lady?" Like I took like 50 photos, but I still brought my camera and I took some behind the scenes for her. And then like I'm just starting to get to know people and I go up to the groom's dad. I'm like, "Is your dad from Texas?" He's like, "Yeah, how did you know?" And I'm like, I'm very good at reading people. I don't know. But like,
you look like you're from Texas.
No, literally. Because what?
You trust me, you would know. He had the Texas vibe.
Did he have a hat? I mean,
he didn't have a hat, but
boots?
I just knew. I don't know. I just knew. And like,
no, we're like analyzing this right now.
But like, I was there at the welcome dinner, the wedding, and by the time it was Saturday, the wedding, everybody was like, "Oh, hey, Jamie." Like it was comfortable. They knew what to expect. They knew I was the camera lady. Aww. And then like afterwards, like they were excited to get photos back. They were excited to be there. I even had a guest airdrop me a photo of me working, and they're like, "You just look like you love your job." And I'm like, "Thank you. I do."
So cute. We do. We can tell. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
I love whole weekend weddings. Like whole weekend weddings make me happy. And I always, when I'm on a consult call with a potential lead, I'm like, they ask, "Well, why would I need this?" or something like that. And I tell them, how do you want to, I ask them, how do you want to experience your wedding day? How do you want to interact with your guests? Like what's your priorities? And they keep talking about wanting to be there for cocktail hour and the stories. And I'm like, okay, so we're not going to do portraits on your wedding day. And they're like, "Well, what do you mean?" I'm like, "We're going to do them on a different day. And we're going to do them like the day after, the day before. And we're going to go to these epic locations so that you don't we'll do like 5 minutes of portraits on your wedding day. But if you want these epic sunset photos, but you also want to be with your people, we're going to do multi-day coverage." And they're like, "Oh, that sounds way better. Because then I don't feel like I'm missing anything. I don't feel like I didn't get to talk to Aunt Susan or something like that." And it just makes the whole experience better because they're getting every single thing they want. They want the epic sunset photos, but they want to be at cocktail hour.
I love that. I just love that you give your clients such a personalized experience. Like that obviously is your secret sauce, and you go above and beyond. Like personality, you literally cannot buy a personality. Like you get what you get. You know what I mean? Yeah. So your couples know that when they invest, like Jamie is all in. Like and you can even tell people like, "Oh, you don't want to do family portraits on the wedding day? Canceled. We'll do it tomorrow." Like what a selling point.
It's so funny though. I had a wedding last fall. The bride wanted full documentary. And the mom wanted family photos. And I try really hard to tell my couples, your family is also my priority. I'm going to take care of you first and then your mom. But mom was dead set. And I went up to my bride and I'm like, "If you give me 2 minutes, we will make mom happy. She will never talk about this ever again in your future. I'm thinking about your future right now. I'm thinking about Christmas." And it worked and it was great. And they printed Christmas cards and everything from the literally 2 minutes of post photos that we did at their reception. And yeah.
It's amazing. I think every photographer deals with the mom or the mother-in-law with their special list of people that never made the family list. And you're just like, "Okay, I got 10 more minutes. Come on, Carrie, bring them in."
And value pricing, confidence, it all ties into everything.
Mm-hmm.
If that's the dream weddings you want, you got to work on these things first.
Yeah. What would you say are any tips for photographers who are wanting to scale and wanting to do more, but are struggling to do more?
Oh, wanting to scale. Okay. Well, I mean, do an audit. I was like, let's take out our pens and paper, guys, and we're going to journal. I think actually back to like the previous thing we discussed earlier about how you're saying your bit of time needs to be clocked. Like in a pricing calculator, you can even calculate your hourly rate by just going like, okay, how much time do I spend per client? And then coming up with like, oh, it's 30 hours. Like roughly it's about 30 hours if you don't outsource. If you do outsource your images, then it's 30. If not, it's probably like 30 to 60 hours. But either way, you can create at least like $100 an hour, $150 an hour, and kind of come up with it that way and being like, okay, now we know my time is valuable, right? And I am charging more than if I worked at Wendy's. Coming from a personal place, I worked at Wendy's way too long.
Applebee's.
Really?
Yeah.
The half off appetizers are so good.
They were way better in 2010. Sorry.
Yeah. That's anyway. When I used to go. Yeah. So anyway, like kind of making a chart for yourself and being like, where is my time spent now? What do they call that? It's like, it looks like a tic-tac-toe board. I forget. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? There's a chart where you can kind of put like an emergency, not really an emergency. And then
yes. I know what you're talking about.
The thing. Well, you can do this. You can map it out in a tic-tac. Can they see me?
Well, if you're on Apple, no.
If you're plus sign, make a plus sign. And then from like emergency to non-emergency, kind of look at what you're spending your time. Is your time being spent like without an automated workflow system and you're constantly answering emails all the time about basic questions that should have been answered in an email? Now we know, like, okay, we need to scale our systems. I need to hire a workflow specialist or I need to take a course. I feel like now there is so much help, mentorship, education. There's no excuse for your business to be a mess anymore. Podcasts are free. Like all I had was YouTube, and I think there's only 2 educators back then, and I was eating up every single episode. But now there's such a diverse like platform of education where it's like, okay, now you need to know where's my time being spent? How can I scale back? Why do I want to scale back? Do you want to build a family or do you just want to go to more girls' nights? Do you want to travel? Do you want to not always be on your desk? I am going to chase so many squirrels, I think, today. But I went to an eye exam and my eye doctor was like, what do you do for a living? I was like, I'm always on the computer. He's like, yes, your eyes look like that. I was like, excuse me, sir. Excuse me? Like, what do they look like? Anyway, we're going to tangent. So then figuring it out, like where your time is being spent, where you want it to be spent, where do you want to be, how many weddings do you want to book a year, at what price point, and because of why. When you have that to support you, it's going to be easier to kind of look at that being like, okay, like I don't need to book every single wedding that comes in my inbox. I have to be okay with saying no because I am raising my prices. Every 3 weddings, I'm raising my prices. Or you know, just be like me and triple them because I'm crazy. But listen.
Crazy people thrive here.
Crazy people thrive. Can you make a t-shirt, please? I will buy. Thank you. So all of those other things and just like really understanding, like I call it like a plan your year, basically. Like plan your year like a millionaire. Millionaires, they set boundaries ahead of time. They set goals ahead of time. They set like hobby goals, marketing goals, sales goals. So you got to do that for yourself and just be like, all right, I'm a business owner. I need to act like one. So what is something I need to get rid of? What is something that's not bringing me joy that I could hand over to a VA? There are VAs everywhere. They're looking for work. Like 2 hours a day for them to answer your inbox if you're still a mess and you're getting your workflows together, do it. How much does it cost? Can you spare $25 an hour? You know what I mean? Or once or twice a week. And then, you know, figuring out what your goal is in life, basically. I mean, so many things. But having a plan to lead the way. And if you need to have affirmations or you need mindset shifts, one of them that I deal with a lot is when a couple doesn't book, you know what I mean? Just like that shift. And so I have like a mindset pep talks thing in my program, and it deals with every single thing that happens with booking clients. A client doesn't book, a client said my prices are too high. But my answer to when a client doesn't book is like, there will be other inquiries. Like, it's February. You're gonna be fine. Like, how many times right now with the new statistics with weddings and the way couples are booking, my sister, even last year, she booked her photographer 3 months before the wedding.
I just got an inquiry last night for July, and then I got one an hour ago for, I think she said September, or no, 2 inquiries with the same name came in for July.
I got one yesterday for May.
Yeah,
Wow.
This May.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, and we have years of data. Like, we have our spreadsheets to show us, okay, it's from, they inquired on this date, their wedding's on this date. So don't freak out. Don't freak out. This is when your inquiries come in. They book you, and it's just getting shorter and shorter.
I do feel like it's more common now to have like the engagement times I noticed are just getting shorter and shorter.
Yeah.
People are like, let's wrap this up. And I think too, with the micro weddings, like after COVID, when people knew what an intimate wedding was, they're like, no, we're not having 250 people anymore unless it's like a cultural thing, you know what I mean? But for the most part, I shot so many weddings where it was like 10 guests, 20 guests, max 50. And they were like, I can actually spend more on florals and details and have only the people I actually speak to at my wedding. We can plan this in 3 months. Like, that's what my sister said. She was like, I only want 50 people at my wedding. And if they can't make it, we're cutting, we're replacing, or we're not replacing. I was like, she's the baby sister. I'm her eldest daughter, obviously.
You seem like an eldest.
I'm also an oldest.
I'm a middle child, so I'm chaos.
Oh my gosh. You know, your birth story is just like my middle sister. She had 2 C-sections and it was an emergency. And she also had preeclampsia too. So it was just, it was rough. But anyway, yes, she's the baby. She did not care. She's like, whatever. My dad's like, you don't understand. This can affect your relationship with people. She's like, I don't talk to them. They're not coming to my wedding. I was like,
I love her. I love her.
I know. I should grab her on the podcast. But can you like stop banking for a minute and just... But yeah, and I think with that shift and that new trend of people being like, I actually only want people that I love on the most important day of my life so far, they're getting married sooner. They're spending more money on the details they love. And they're hiring their dream photographers with 3 months notice. So don't worry. More inquiries are coming.
And you mentioned, like, what do you want your life to look like? And it's like, what is success is so different to every single person. And I feel like my number one North Star is my kids seeing me happy, my kids seeing me thrive. And then it's like, okay, if mom's happy, mom can kind of just do whatever she wants. And you like micro weddings, elopements, that's my thing. And I get to bring my kids sometimes, but then it's like, for us, the dream life is being able to shop at small businesses. Like, that's success for us. Like, we love going out to eat. We love going to small businesses. We like to just buy the random things for our kids. Like, that's success to us. Like, that's what a successful business means. For others, it might mean making a certain amount of money or going.
For me, it's buying chickens.
Yeah. Like chickens and homesteading.
Yeah, we love home. We just moved to an acreage. And so for me, like, success is being able to spend more time at home, building our homestead, gardening. We're getting hogs. We're getting chickens. We're getting eventually a cow. We just got a puppy. Like,
You're my traditional girl.
Our log cabin, and we're renovating our log cabin. We're going to be adding on a bedroom to it soon. So doing stuff around our house with our kids on our property and like being outside. I just want to spend more time doing that with my kids. So
oh my goodness. You are the typical mom that I see on TikTok. That is so beautiful.
But no, she is type B to a T.
Oh yeah.
Don't go in her minivan if you're type A.
I'm in between because like my life looks perfect, but low key it's a mess. And my sister sent me a TikTok yesterday because when she came in, like there was stuff everywhere. I was like, oh, just come right in. Like, I don't know if you saw it, that video, but she's like, come right in. Oh, sorry, there's like food here. And I like made myself ramen because my husband's supposed to cook that day. I had to go to a birthday party in 30 minutes. And I was like, oh, have a seat. Do you want a cookie or something? But like for the most part, my business is type A, but my life is so type B.
My business, I always say that. My business is type A. My life, I joke that my life, I even say this to my clients too, is like I'm type C. B. Like if there was a type C, that's me. I tell that to my clients. I'm like,
for cruise control.
I am like type A when it comes to like you, but when it comes to personalities on your wedding day, I am a type C. I am fly on the wall. I am like, let you just have your time.
I love it.
Yes. Keep everything organized, know your numbers, and then just go have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there any last minute tips or inspiration or words of wisdom that you would love to share?
Oh my goodness. Well, when it comes to, I think motherhood, at least motherhood and business, like there is a success kind of with that because my daughter has seen me work and that one is hard, like having boundaries with business and the babies. So like I spent all my time with them up until they were about 2. And then Nana had to come because they were breaking stuff. You know, when they get a certain age, they start running and running into things. And so when they get a certain age, you know, they see like, okay, mommy's still wrapping this project up, or okay, mommy's working for a little bit longer. And I used to feel really guilty about that. But now, because my daughter has seen me work and she doesn't really know what I do, but I told her I take pictures and I teach people, photographers how to make money. And she's like, interesting. So now she's like, well, since mommy has a job, like I'm going to have a job and I'm going to have 3 kids, not 2. And I was like, okay, you do what you want. But she
Let me know how that goes for you.
No, literally. I said, please tell me more about future Ella. So, and she wants to start a business and she wants to have an art studio and she wants to travel. I'm like, you are 8 years old, ma'am. Like, how is your life already planned? So like your kids seeing you thrive in business. And when you get all of these things together, like that is going to be such a huge reward of being like, okay, mommy can do this, I can do this. And then the generational wealth of your family just builds forever and ever. Mm-hmm. So anyways, that part, super great. You can have it all. That was my biggest thing is like, it feels so hard. And if you're not really strategic about building your business is kind of running you. But when you start to run your business, you actually can have it all. You can have your kids at home. I raised all my kids at home until they were about 2.5. And it's like the ability to, as a wedding photographer, be a stay-at-home working mom, even though it's very, very hard. It's very priceless time that a lot of people I know, you know, who have other situations where they have to go to a 9 to 5. I'm like, I can still check an email with my baby in my lap. Like that is a luxury. Like having that, being able to work from home, build a business, and raise children is a luxury. It's a hard luxury, but it's definitely possible. And don't give up. And the mindset of like, you know, it can't be me, I can't do this. I always ask the question of why not you? Why not you? Why not you rather than someone else? Because someone else is probably doing the thing that you want to do so badly. So it is possible. There is no ceiling. And yeah, you can do anything you put your mind to. So don't give up.
Oh,
I love
that's
all
like
that
the best
so
place
much.
to end this. I'm like, yes, it is.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
You guys eating it up like
I am. Well, like we just look like bobbleheads. Like, yeah.
I love it.
Oh
Thank
my
you.
gosh. So where can our listeners find you, you have like a program or course, right?
Yeah.
Coaching. Where can they find all of your information?
Yeah. So, probably at the time that this drops, everything should be rebranded. But I'm in the middle of a rebrand myself. Yeah. I just kind of like got a random website template and was like, that's it. I'm an educator. But now I went through the rebrand process that I teach my students. And so at the time of this recording, it'll probably be changed in the show notes. It's called The Wedding CEO, and it's like a 12-month group program where I teach wedding photographers to double their prices, triple their prices even, so they can charge $10K and book 10 or less weddings a year. And you can do it while having babies because guess what? Some of us have.
Yes.
Yes. So that's the program. And then the podcast is also the Wedding CEO podcast. And my Instagram is alora.rachelle. I have 2 freebies for you. So I have a micro class that teaches you how to book your next wedding ghost free. And it includes my email template so that you can get a response and you can get them on a call. And then I also have a brand promise freebie where you can kind of go through what makes you stand out, some journal prompts, and there's even a playlist in the corner that you can listen to while you type if you have a little bit of ADD, like most of us do. Mm-hmm. And yeah, thanks so much for having me, guys. This was great.
Thank
this
you
was
so
good.
much.
So
Jinx.
good. Jinx. Double jinx. No punchbacks. No.
Oh my gosh.
I'm I'm so excited for people to find you. So this is going to be good. This is going to be so
I feel
good.
like pricing is such a hard topic, and I feel like one of the most prevalent topics that I hear talked about. So I think this is going to serve people so well.
Can we still call Michigan the Midwest? Is Michigan the Midwest?
It absolutely is. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to do the typical Midwest thing. Our hands are on the door. We're going to slap a knee and we're going to
Where they keep the Midwest goodbye, where it just like keeps going and going.
Okay, guys, we're going to see you next week. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Bye.
Bye.